"Ah, Beck," he said. "I was hoping to get a run in." But he came plodding toward her. While Jeep set about correcting the placement of the bases, Rebecca went to deal with the stepdaughter in the minivan, who happened to be Jeep's wife, in fact. Rebecca hoped this wasn't one of their silly quarrels. "Sweetie," she sang out. She waded through the weeds, scooping up armfuls of her big red bandana print skirt. "Patch! Roll down your window, Patch. Can you hear me? Is something the matter?" Patch turned and gazed out at her. You could tell she must be hot. Spikes of her chopped black hair were sticking to her forehead, and her sharp freckled face was shining with sweat. Still, she made no move to open her window. Rebecca grabbed the door handle and yanked it, luckily just before Patch thought to push the lock down. "Now then," Rebecca caroled, "what's all this about?" Patch said, "Can't a person ever get a moment of peace in this family?" She was 37 years old, but looked more like 14 in her striped t-shirt and skinny jeans, and acted like 14, too, Rebecca couldn't help thinking. But all she said was, "Come on out and join us. We're starting up a softball game." "No, thanks." "Pretty please?" "Oh, for Lord's sake, Beck, don't you know how I hate this?" "Hate it?" Rebecca cried merrily, choosing to misunderstand. "But you're wonderful at sports. The rest of us don't even know where the bases go. Poor Jeep is having to do everything." Patch said, "I cannot for the life of me see why we should celebrate my little sister's engagement to a... Words appeared to fail her. She clamped her arms tight across her flat chest and faced forward again. "To a what?" Rebecca asked her. "A nice, decent, well-spoken man? A lawyer? A corporate lawyer? A man who brings his appointment book to a picnic. Did you notice his appointment book? Him in his yacht-looking, country club-looking clothes, his ridiculous yellow crew cut, his stupid rubber-soled boating shoes. And look at how he was sprung on us, just sprung on us with no warning. One day it's, oh, poor No-No, 35 years old and never even been kissed so far as anyone knew. And the next day, I swear, the very next day, she pops up out of the blue and announces an August wedding." "Well, now, I just have a feeling she may have kept him secret out of nervousness," Rebecca said. "She didn't want to look foolish, in case the courtship came to nothing. Also, maybe she worried you girls would be too critical. Not without reason," she didn't add. Patch said, "Hogwash. You know why she kept him secret? He's been married once before, married and divorced with a 12-year-old son to boot." "Well, these things do happen," Rebecca said dryly. "And such a pathetic son, too, did you see?" Patch jabbed a thumb toward the children by the river, but Rebecca didn't bother turning. "A puny little runt of a son. And it can't have escaped your notice that Barry has sole custody. He's had to cook for that child and clean house, drive the carpool, help with homework. Of course he wants a wife. Unpaid nanny is more like it." "Now, dearie, that's an insult to No-No," Rebecca said. "Any man in his right mind would want No-No for her own sake." Patch merely gave an explosive wheeze that lifted the spikes of hair off her forehead. "Just think," Rebecca reminded her. "Didn't I marry a divorced man with 3 little girls? And see, it worked out fine. I'd be married to him still if he had lived." All Patch said to this was, "And how could you throw a party for them?" "Well, of course I'd throw a party. It's an occasion," Rebecca said. "Besides, you and Biddy asked for one, if I remember correctly." "We asked if you planned to give one is all, since you're so fond of engagement parties. Why, Min Foo's had 3 of them. They seem to be kind of a habit with you." Rebecca opened her mouth to argue because she was almost positive that Patch and Biddy had requested, in so many words, that she put together a picnic. But then she saw that she might have misinterpreted. Maybe they had just meant that since they knew she would be planning something, they would prefer it to be held outside. Oh, the Davich girls were very unsocial. "I guess you're going to insist on some kind of shindig," one of them would sigh, and then they would show up and sit around looking bored, picking at their food while Rebecca tried to jolly things along. Well, no matter, because Patch was finally unfolding herself from the minivan. She slammed the door behind her and said, "Let's get started then, if you're so set on this." "Thank you, sweetie," Rebecca said. "I just know we'll have a good time today." Patch said, "Ha!" and marched off toward the others, leaving Rebecca to trail behind.